Welcome to the third video on art and literary aesthetics. This is a complimentary paper for the second semester BA English Language and Literature students of the University of Kerala. The next art movement in history is Expressionism. The time span is roughly between 1905 and 1920. Expressionism is was a response to increasingly conflicted worldviews and the loss of spirituality. The Expressionist artists used a distortion of form and strong colors to display anxieties and raw emotions. They revisited native folk traditions and tribal art. The roots of Expressionism can be traced back to artists such as the Norwegian artist Edvard Munch. Munch is famous for his painting titled The Scream. This particular painting, which you can see on the slide, is considered one of the most iconic images of Expressionist art. If you look closely at the painting, you find the figure of a person. The face is twisted in agony or pain. So the agonized face symbolizes the anxiety of the human condition. Now this painting was created in 1893 and had a formative influence on the Expressionist movement. The Scream is also known by the title The Cry, and it is symbolic of modern spiritual anguish. Munch recalls that he had been out for a walk at sunset when he suddenly saw the setting sun's light turning the clouds into a kind of blood red color. And it was then that he sensed an infinite scream passing through nature. So that was the inspiration behind this particular painting titled The Scream. The most profound legacy of Munch to modern art lies particularly in his sense of the purpose of art to address universal aspects of human experience. He recreated the traditional mysticism and anxiety of Northern European paintings and reproduced it in a highly personal art of the archetypal and the symbolic. The works of Munch continue to speak to the typically modern situation of the individual facing uncertainties in a rapidly changing contemporary world. Another Expressionist artist is the Mexican painter Frida Kahlo. She is mostly remembered for her self-portraits. Out of almost 143 paintings, 55 are self-portraits. And in these self-portraits, you find a common theme. She has depicted pain and passion using very bold and vibrant colors. Frida Kahlo is celebrated in Mexico for her attention to Mexican indigenous culture and also by feminists for her depiction of the female experience and form. The picture shown is titled Self-Portrait with Thorn Necklace and Hummingbird. This was painted in 1940. In this picture, you find a painted assortment of symbols. The artist is facing the viewer. She is surrounded by leaves, insects, and animals. And you find a black monkey on her right shoulder. The monkey is carelessly tugging at a thorn necklace. And this, because the monkey is tugging at the necklace, it causes her to bleed. There is a tiny black hummingbird with its wings outstretched, and it dangles like a piece of jewelry, like a pendant from the artist's throat. Above her head, you can find two dragonflies hovering in midair, and she also has two elaborate butterfly clips on her head. There is also a black cat on her left shoulder. Black cat with strikingly light blue eyes peers over the artist's shoulder and seems to be looking very menacingly at the viewer. Every element in the painting gives clues to the mental state of the artist. Her still, direct and emotionless gaze seems to express the immediacy of her pain. The artist Frida Kahlo has repeatedly mentioned that her paintings carry with them the message of pain. She began painting even when she was bedridden after a bus accident that left her very seriously disabled, and all her paintings focus on her inner struggles. For her, painting was a healing experience, a therapeutic experience, because it allowed her to project her anguish and pain onto the canvas. Another source of inspiration for the artist was that she was a big supporter of the Mexican Revolution. Kahlo is considered as one of the most iconic of Hispanic artists, and her self-portraits especially tell her life story filled with isolation and pain. The autobiographical details, especially if you look at her attire, the bright colors, vibrant Mexican attire, elaborate hairstyles, her characteristic eyebrows. So all these make Frida Kahlo a popular figure both in Mexico and in the world. On this long and painful journey, on her life journey, many of her paintings were actually a way of reclaiming her body from health issues as well as from gender conformity. The painting titled Self-Portrait with Thorn Necklace and Hummingbird is also considered as a bittersweet celebration of hope. It presents the viewer with the artist, revealing her most vulnerable state. She is devastated by all the difficulties that life has given her, but she has not lost hope. She stays true to herself, and she is determined to fight for a better tomorrow. The symbols used in the painting are basically, she has used a natural landscape in the background and a kind of deathly imagery in the foreground. The background of her paintings signify a very tight, very claustrophobic space, again indicating that life is not very easy for her. She uses the symbols from nature to simultaneously compare and contrast the link between female fertility with the barren, deathly imagery in the foreground. The hummingbird that is hanging from her neck is considered to be a symbol of good luck charm in Mexican folklore, and it's often associated with falling in love. Another interpretation is that the hummingbird is a symbol of the Aztec god of war, but in this painting most critics suggest that it is a symbol of love. Now the black cat or the black panther, as some critics say, it is symbolic of bad luck and death. The monkey is again a symbol of evil, and it seems some critics even suggest that the monkey actually indicates her failed relationship, her failed marriage with Rivera, another artist. So the monkey appears to be concerned with tugging at the thorns, at the thorny branches. The necklace again is also viewed as a religious symbol because it is made of thorns. It alludes to Christ's crown of thorns, and thus allows Frida Kahlo to compare herself to a Christian martyr and to represent the pain and anguish that she is experiencing. But the butterflies and the dragonflies symbolize resurrection, and they are signs of hope. So the painting, that is why the painting is also considered as a kind of celebration of hope. The next important movement in art history is Cubism, 1907 to 1914. Cubism was an art movement established by the Spanish painter Pablo Picasso and the French painter Baroque. They rejected the concept that art should copy nature. The artists of this movement created radically fragmented objects through abstraction. The works were marked by flat two-dimensional surfaces, geometric forms or cubes of objects, and showed multiple vantage points. Now, one of the most important artworks of Cubism is Picasso's Guernica, that was painted in 1937. It was considered a controversial painting because of its political statement. Guernica is the name of a Spanish town, and it was bombed on 26th April 1937 by the Nazis and the fascist Italian government. If you look at the painting, you will find that the scene shows a room. Now, in this room, there is a bull, a horse, a few screaming women, a dead baby, and a mutilated soldier. There are also flames. Then the painting is, it has been painted using grey, black, and white colors. It is actually a very powerful anti-war, what it portrays as anti-war sentiments. It is a colossal painting, 3.49 meters tall and 7.76 meters wide. Picasso painted Guernica at his home in Paris. Now, if you look closely at the painting, you will find that the bull is standing wide-eyed, and its tail, you see a flame with smoke rising from the tail. And it is standing over a woman. The woman is lamenting the loss of her dead child. She is holding the dead child in her arms. In the center of the room, there is a horse. It appears to be falling in agony, in pain, because of the large wound on its side. It looks as if the horse has been wounded or pierced by a spear. It appears to be wearing some kind of chain armor, and the nostrils and upper teeth of the horse also resemble a human skull. Now, underneath the horse, there is the image of a dead soldier. The right arm of the soldier has been detached. So, that detached right arm is grasping a shattered sword. And on this sword, you see a flower that is growing. The opened palm of the dead soldier's left hand contains a stigma. Stigma is a symbol of martyrdom derived from the stigmata of Christ, the wounds that Christ had during his crucifixion. Now, there is also a light bulb in the shape of an eye. You can find that eye, an eye painted. So, it is blazing over the head of the horse. To the right side of the horse, again, you find the extended right arm, the head and extended right arm of a female. The female looks very frightened, probably on seeing the scene inside the room. The female figure appears to have floated into the room through a window, and in her right hand she carries a lamp, and she holds it near the light bulb. From the right, below this female, another woman is there. Again, her face showing fear. She seems to be staggering towards the center of the room, and she is also looking into this light bulb, the blazing light bulb, with a blank stare. Now, the tongues of the horse, the bull, and the women have all been replaced with daggers to suggest screaming, to suggest that they are screaming in pain. To the right side of the bull, you can see a dove. It appears on a cracked wall through which bright light from outside shines. On the far right, there is another woman. Her arms are raised in terror. Her mouth is opened wide and her head is thrown back, and she also seems to echo screams of pain. She is entrapped by fire both from above and below. In the right hand, or the right hand of this woman suggests the shape of an aeroplane. On the right side of the room, again, there is a dark wall with an open door. Now, this painting, Guernica, it became famous very soon. It was widely acclaimed because it helped to bring a lot of attention to the Spanish Civil War. There are many interpretations of this particular painting. For example, many critics have commented on the use of the two dominant figures in the painting, the bull and the horse. Art historians have commented that the bull and the horse are important characters in Spanish culture, and Picasso has used these characters to play many different roles over time. So, this has made the task of interpreting the specific meaning of the bull and the horse very difficult, because the shape and posture of all the bodies on the painting, they express protest. And he has used black, white and grey to set the mood of the painting. It is very somber, very grey, and it also helps to express or to convey the pain and the chaos. Flaming buildings, crumbling walls, they also express or convey or depict the destruction of the town Guernica, and it also reflects how war, civil war especially, can destroy people as well as places. The newspaper print that has been used in the painting reflects how Picasso learned of the massacre. The light bulb represents the sun, the broken sword, the shattered sword in the hand of the dead soldier, the detached right arm, which is seen at the bottom of the painting. This shattered sword symbolizes the defeat of the people at the hands of their tormentors. The German art critic Rudolf Arnheim has remarked that women and children make Guernica the image of innocent, defenseless humanity victimized. Also, women and children have often been presented by Picasso as the very perfection of mankind. An assault on women and children is, in Picasso's view, directed at the core of mankind. Guernica was painted using matte house paint, specially formulated at Picasso's request because he wanted to have the least possible gloss. He was assisted by two people, an American artist named John Ferren, who helped him to prepare this monumental canvas, and also by a photographer named Dora Maar, who documented the creation of this particular painting. Another unique feature is that Picasso allowed strangers inside his studio to watch him work. He thought that publicity would help the anti-fascist cause. As his work on the painting progressed, Picasso explained that the Spanish struggle is a fight of reaction against the people, against freedom. So, according to him, his life as an artist is a continuous struggle against reaction, against such reaction against the people and also the death of art. The next important movement in art history is Dadaism. Dadaism was between the years 1916 and 1923. It is also referred to as the non-art movement because it defied conventional types of or conventional art forms. It was a protest against the First World War, and the main artists who behind this movement were Marcel Duchamp, Tristan Tzara and Ball. Tristan Tzara is a Romanian artist. The basic ideas conveyed were spontaneity, negation and absurdity. These artists used everyday objects and they converted it into art forms. And the artists also intended to provoke and offend the artistic and the political elite. You find such artworks in music, literature, sculpture, painting, puppetry, photography, body art and performance art. Now, Marcel Duchamp was a French painter, sculptor and a writer whose work is associated with primarily with Dadaism, Cubism and also something called conceptual art. He also is famous for his ready-mades, or specifically referred to as rectified ready-mades. This was first conceived in 1919. Ready-made involves, this particular art form involves taking mundane objects, often utilitarian objects, which are not generally considered as artworks, and he transformed them by adding them or changing them or renaming them or even reorienting them and placing them in an appropriate setting. One of his famous ready-made artworks is the fountain, in which he presented a urinal as an artwork. Now, if you look at the slide, you find another ready-made artwork by Duchamp. It is a postcard reproduction of Da Vinci's Mona Lisa. So, on this cheap postcard, what Duchamp has done is that he has drawn a moustache and a beard in pencil, and he has added a new title, The name of the piece is what you call a grammogram, which is a group of letters which can be pronounced to form one or more words. The next important movement is Surrealism from 1916 to 1950. Surrealism defied reason and denounced the rationalist mindset. It was highly influenced by Karl Marx and Sigmund Freud. Salvador Dali is one of the famous surrealist painters. He has depicted revelations found on the street and in everyday life. Now, Dali was a renowned artist. He was renowned for his technical skill and the striking and bizarre images in his work. If you look at the slide, you find one of his artworks titled The Persistence of Memory. The Persistence of Memory is a 1931 painting by Dali. It is considered as one of the most recognizable works of Surrealism. It is also referred to by other titles such as Melting Clocks, Soft Watches, or even Melting Watches. Now, in most of his paintings, Salvador Dali has depicted a dream world in which commonplace objects are juxtaposed, deformed, or otherwise metamorphosed into a bizarre and irrational fashion. Dali has portrayed these objects in meticulous and almost painfully realistic details, and usually he places them against a bleak background, bleak sunlit landscapes, probably reminding him of his homeland. The next moment is abstract expressionism. It was during the 1940s and 1950s that this movement emerged in New York after the Second World War, and it was also called, it's also referred to as the New York School or Action Painting. Now, this movement used spontaneity and improvisation. Their unique feature was colossally scaled works, very monumental or huge works. Now, an important painter of this movement is Jackson Pollock. He was an American painter and also a major figure in this movement. He is well known for his unique style of painting referred to as drip painting. If you look at the picture, you will find Pollock's famous drip painting titled Convergence. This was painted in 1952. Now, drip paintings were created by covering a horizontally positioned canvas with dripping paint. This represents a severe kind of abstraction and is an important and innovative development in the history of painting. Now, this particular painting titled Convergence is the embodiment of free speech and freedom of expression. Jackson Pollock rebelled against conventions, and you find in the painting a kind of collage of colors splattered on a canvas that again, it has created some kind of shapes and lines that evoke emotions, and it's very eye-catching. Op art is the next moment in art history. It was during the period 1950s to 1960s. Op art, OP is short form for optical. So, optical art movement was launched in 1955. In this movement, the artists used shapes, colors, and patterns to create images that appear to be moving or blurring, and it was often used, and the paintings were often in black and white. Now, the English artist Bridget Riley is one of the pioneer artists in the op art movement. Her intricate, stylish, geometric abstractions helped to make this art movement very popular in the 1960s. Again, if you look at the slide, you will find one of her artworks titled Blaze. This was created in 1964. Now, Bridget Riley arrayed colorful shapes across her canvases in a way that induced the appearance of vibration. If you look at the picture, you will find that it is moving, or it gives the impression that it is moving, the circles are moving. And this appearance of vibration or movement, that is what this movement is famous for, optical effects, and that is how the movement got its name, optical art. Now, in this particular painting, Blaze, you find zigzag black and white lines that create the illusion of a circular descent. Another art movement is pop art, popular art in 1950s to 1960s. This emerged and flourished during the 50s and 60s in America and Britain. It drew inspiration from sources in popular and commercial culture. Many countries have contributed to this movement. Pop art reached its peak in the 1960s as a revolt against dominant approaches to art and culture and traditional views. Young artists felt that they should do something different from what they saw in museums or in art schools. So they turned to sources such as Hollywood movies, advertisements, product packaging, pop music, and comic books for inspiration. And modernist critics were actually horrified by the use of such low subject matter. Pop art took art into new areas of content and subject matter, and they developed new ways of presenting it in art, and it can be seen as one of the first manifestations of postmodernism in art. Now, an example would be Roy Lichtenstein's Wham, that was created in 1963. You can see it's like a cartoon, it's like a comic, it's like from the page of a comic, so you can see it on the slide. Now another famous postmodernist artist is Banksy. Now Banksy is an anonymous British artist. He is a street artist. He is also a socio-political activist. He has been active since the 1990s, and his satirical street art, subversive epigrams, etc. combine dark humor with graffiti executed in a distinctive stenciling technique. Now, according to Banksy, if you want to say something and have people listen, then you have to wear a mask. Now, the particular painting that is shown on the slide is titled Love is in the Air. This was created in 2003. The painting is also known by the name Flower Thrower. So you find in this painting a young man. He seems to be in an aggressive mode. He is dressed as a militant. He wears a baseball cap backwards and a bandana to mask the lower half of his face. Now he is in the act of throwing a bouquet of flowers, but it seems as if he is holding a grenade in his hand. Now, despite the aggressive posture, what he is actually trying to do, the figure in the mural is trying to launch a universal symbol of love and peace instead of a weapon. This particular mural exemplifies Banksy's formal artistic style as well as his powerful political stand. It represents a powerful call for peace. Now, this mural titled Love is in the Air is typical of Banksy's socially charged imagery. It demonstrates the artist's sustained interest in the absurdity of war as well as in the arbitrariness that can derive from unequal power dynamics. If you look at this painting very closely, you will find that the bouquet of flowers is hand painted and it's very bright. The radiant hand painted flowers, this is a unique feature which is rarely seen in Banksy's artwork. It presents a contrast between the delicately painted flowers and the militant figure which has been spray painted. So it reminds us of how you can use art to signify or to convey a very important message. So Banksy actually joins an important lineage of artists who have used their artworks to comment on political and social issues. Another example is Delacroix's famous painting Liberty Leading the People, that was created after the July Revolution of 1830 as a symbol for liberty and democracy. So this imagery of love is in the air also represents the same. It is a symbol for liberty and democracy and a call for world peace. Now, this particular painting or mural was first seen on the West Bank wall, the wall that separates Palestine and Jerusalem. Love is in the air is recognized as a very powerful motive for peaceful resistance, non-violent protest, and the power of love over hate. It is also reminiscent of the late 1960s images of students protesting against the Vietnam War. There was a famous photograph, that of a young man placing a flower in the barrel of a rifle that was pointed at him. So this particular mural is also featured on the cover of Banksy's book titled Wall and Peace. So with that, we come to an end of this discussion on various art movements in history. Thank you.